Stand for the pledge, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Clerk will take roll call.
Councilman Ronald Quagliani.
Councilman Ron Quagliani, present.
Councilwoman Colleen O'Connor.
Councilwoman Colleen O'Connor, Council at Large here.
Councilman Gary Donovan.
Councilman Gary Donovan, Council at Large, present.
Councilwoman Bridget Hosky.
Councilwoman Bridget Hosky, present.
Councilwoman Melly Garthwaite is absent. Councilwoman Sarah Akrodali.
Councilwoman Sarah Aquarelli, present.
Councilman Mitchell Galignano.
Councilman Mitchell Galignano, 4th District, present.
Councilwoman Robin Watt Hamilton.
Councilwoman Robin Watt Hamilton, 5th District, present.
Councilwoman Kathy Tucker.
Councilwoman Kathy Tucker, 7th District, present.
Councilman Victor Boris.
Councilman Victor Boris, 8th District, present.
Councilman Robert Bruno.
Councilman Robert Bruno, 9th District, present.
Councilman Stephen Johnstone.
Councilman Stephen Johnstone, 10th District, present.
And Chairman Peter Massaro.
Chairman Peter Massaro, present. 6th District Councilman also.
Okay, we have it done.
Okay. At this time, we're having a public hearing on Communication F from March 14th's agenda, and I'm going to turn it over to Legislative Matters to Councilman Bruno.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Time is 6:46. Public hearing for legislative matters regarding Communication F for the amendment of ordinance section 224-4A1 to add word class 3. Members present: Councilwoman O'Connor, Councilman Galliano, Councilman Boras, Councilwoman Acabello, myself acting as chair. Open it for the public at this time, public hearing at this time. Would anyone like to speak regarding Communication F? Once? Twice? Third and final time, would anyone like to speak regarding Communication F? Thank you. Public hearing is closed. 6:47.
Thank you, Councilman Bruno. Now
We have to recess.
we'll have to recess until 7. Good evening, everybody. Public session will now open. Remember, when you come up to the podium, please give your name and address. And let's all please be respectful to one another. And right at this time, does anybody want to come up and address the council? Anybody want to come up and address the council?
Is this where we're supposed to go?
Yes, sir.
My name's Rich Hebert. I live at 166 Bloom Street. And good evening, everyone. My questions are, it's a comment rather than, I need some further information. We've got the electric cars on the agenda. You've got the HVAC for the police station and the mayor's raise. And I'm in favor of all of them. But one thing that I'm worried about is how are we paying for that? Because at an earlier meeting, that was not addressed. So if you can enlighten me on that, I would appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Would anybody else like to come up and address the council? Mr. Hickey.
Michael Hickey, 32 Bungalow Lane. On the public comment procedures, on the bottom, the use of profanity, abusive, disparaging language directed at the members of the city council, city officials, city employees, or members of the general public will not be tolerated. Profanity, I agree with you. But understand one thing, if this room was nothing but men, we would be having a whole different discussion, all right? But there's women present, I try to hold my tongue. The rest, you're violating my constitutional right to the First Amendment. And you don't have any right to that, any of yous. I'll direct what I want to direct in the way I want to direct it because that's what my Bill of Rights says I can do, including hate speech. The only thing I can't do is yell fire at a crowded theater. You don't want to kill anybody. Other than that, I will speak the way I want to speak. And if anybody thinks or anybody chooses to think they're going to stop me, I'd be more than happy to take you to the federal court. We'll have a judge explain it to you. And that's the end of that discussion. I went through this once with Jimmy O'Brien. And I told him the same thing I told you now. You're not going to infringe on my Constitution and amendments, Bill of Rights, ever. I believe in every one of them, including the Second Amendment, but I have absolutely no use for guns. But I don't mind if people that are legal own them. It's their right. Let's go on to the next agenda. I have to make a correction from 2 weeks ago. I had mentioned that Ed O'Brien, when my taxes were put on lien, well, that was a mistake. He wasn't the mayor at the time. He didn't become mayor until December of 2013. It was John Picard. And that'll be the end of that, but I don't choose to put somebody in the limelight that don't belong there. Fire money on this COVID money. It's not that I wouldn't love to see my fire district as well as West Shore to get money to do repairs so they wouldn't have to come after me for tax money. But you better make sure you dot your I's and cross your T's, because unlike Allentown, Center and West Shore are not part of this town. They don't belong to the city. They're private corporations. So before you hand out that money and we wind up in the same boat that Allentown did, with money they weren't supposed to have, make sure it's not there. Oh, and that includes the Arts Center over there. Exactly when did that become part of the city? All right, that was supposed to be a private organization to take care of that, and you want to spend $3.5 million. Everything that you appropriated to go to things, you're going to have to call up the feds and make sure that every one of those things is okay, because if not, we're going to be on the hook for it, and that'll be enough of that. I see we made back in the news again. Another contractor hit the city. Same guy involved with the rest of the crap, but for $85,000 to pick up grass clippings for 2 months. Man, I wish I knew that job was open. How did that happen? Now, I don't know how consultations work and how people get to come in here and consult human health or any other organization here, but I do know when contractors come in to do physical labor work, it has to go out to bid, which means that the Public Works Commissioner had to authorize that he needed extra help to pick up grass clippings. I don't understand why. All right, I remember August and September of last year, my grass didn't grow to speak of at all. There couldn't have been a whole lot out there. And it's not like we couldn't dump it at the compost place because we had that permit fixed in 2018. For anybody that doesn't remember, I do. Because we couldn't take grass clippings at the time, so all the bags were left out for a month until that was corrected. But that company got on there anyways. And nobody questioned it. Oh, I'm a little upset about Public Works. How does a man show up and get directions for what route and what day to pick up bags unless somebody in the Public Works Department gave him that list? And why didn't they question that? Very simple. When I worked and a jobber came into the shop and I didn't know who he was, they weren't ordering anything or going, even if they went over to the bolts or wherever they were going, I would ask them, what are you doing here? Oh, I'm taking the inventory for what you need. And who are you? Because if I don't know who they are, I say, you don't do nothing. And I walk over to the main office, because at that time we didn't have a phone hookup then, and I'd ask the boss or the general foreman, do you know this guy? And is he our new jobber? If he wasn't, I would be more than happy to escort him off the property. That's how businesses are run. You can't afford to make mistakes. We're out another $85,000. Because trust me, this guy don't have the money. But how did he get there? I'm a citizen. I've never worked for the city of West Haven. But I do know in my town, you have to, when you're ordering a jobber to come on, it's got to go out to bid and the lowest bid wins. If it's a West Haven company, there's a 10% upgrade on that because there's a West Haven company. You didn't know I knew that too, right? But it has to go out to bid. All I'm getting from, and it's not adding up, oh, Mike hired him. Number one, Mike knew because he's been running in this city long before he ever went to the state, so he knew the rules. He sat in this city council. He was over in the desk at that city. He knew the rules of this town. Now let's pass it off to the guy that's in trouble. And I'm not happy when the commissioner says no comment in the newspaper. He's in charge of that Public Works. He should have a comment. How the heck did he get up? How did this company just show up? And we'll end that. This is just a little, so the rest of you know and understand that citizens are watching you. We actually know how to read. Isn't that amazing? We're not stupid schmucks. We got hustled. Now we're going to talk about money. I see your budget's going to be almost $169 million. I did a little math, some quick math. All right, so this is not exact. All right. The Democrats have been in control of this town for over 30 years. This is just on a 20-year period. At $140 million, not 169, $140 million over 20 years. $2.8 billion have flowed through the hands of this city. 2.8 billion, not millions, billions. And our city is a dump. Our infrastructure is collapsing underneath our feet, and that includes the roads that cover it. Now that $2.8 billion does not include grant money, does not include any money that came from the University of New Haven or Bear or Yale on top of any other grant money you got. That's just what you collect to operate this city. Never mind the other 10 years, which is probably well over another $1 billion. In a 10 square mile city, where is it? Show me where the money went. We got nothing. I got a zigzag going up and down 2nd Avenue. That's how bad the road is. I get the public works to go out there. Every other pothole's getting filled. Fill them all. It's costing me a fortune to keep my front end aligned. Now, gas prices. We're going to get a 25-cent kick in April. Isn't that wonderful? Still going to be $4 a gallon. All right? But the problem being is that June 30th, that gas tax goes back on. On June 24th, we finally stopped taking oil from Russia. All right? Venezuela is not capable of supplying that kind of oil. We're going to get hit big time. Why didn't you all get together, including the governors, and tell the President of the United States to go back to Trump-era energy independence? You could have dropped the gas in 6 months, down, maybe to $2.50 a gallon. That would have done better for.
Please stick to West Havens. Try to stick
This
to
is
West
a public section.
I know it, but
I
try
can
to stick
speak
with
whatever
West Havens
thing I
policy.
want on. And this does matter to us because we're West Haven residents and we're going broke.
We don't relate to the President of the United States.
You're a Democrat, aren't you?
Okay.
Call Blumenthal. I watched the news on a new government for our taxes. $1 trillion in new taxes coming to us. Next year, it'll be another $1 trillion to pay the $30 trillion debt that we owe. Where's all this money coming from? How much are you going to bleed out of us? What I'm trying to tell you is we're broke. We the people are totally broke. I go into the grocery store and Stop and Shop, $41, one bag. I didn't have anything. $41. Gas. I fill up my car and I got to keep it filled at all times because my wife is sick. She's got to go all kinds of doctors. All right, that's $100. You want to get rid of MARB. That's what I hear, and that's what I. First thing we got to do is we got to get rid of MARB out of here. My personal opinion is they need to stay here a lot longer, and they need to set some rules for you people because you don't seem to have any rules. I've never seen anything so mismanaged in my life. Overtime is passed even on a napkin. When I had to get overtime, I had to write it down on a piece of paper. And first I had to get permission from the general foreman to even do it. And then I had to say what it was for. It's the only way you got paid. You didn't say, oh, I worked 10 hours. Yeah, what'd you do? Where it is in black and white. I had to go in on paperwork. There was no paperwork. This is the shabbiest town I've ever seen run. And now it's showing its true colors. Only because you got caught with $1.1 million that walked out the door that belonged to the feds. If not, most of us probably wouldn't even know this is going on. With that, that's the end of it. I gotta leave. Good luck. I will be back. I'm watching.
Thank you for your comments. Anyone else would like to come up and address the council? Mr. Parsons.
Good evening. Robin Parsons, 129 Bellevue. That was a perfect intro for me because I don't think it has anything to do with what party you're in, and I don't sign on to any of the problems that the last gentleman said, except for the fact that we have terrible management here. And last week I brought up the very simple example of the lack of no smoking signs that have been missing in action for over 3 years. You may remember that Mr. Horvath also mentioned using some technological systems that might help you developing effective service delivery, which is the thing I want to keep hammering on to this council and that I did not see in the ARPA funding recommendations from the city. And that is that we definitely need a position or a system for tracking effective service delivery. Tonight, I just want to follow up with two other quick examples. right at the beginning, after we started the Sustainable CT initiative here in West Haven, one of the first things we identified the city needing is the portfolio manager system for benchmarking and tracking energy use. Another volunteer and I took training in this system. This is 4 years ago, or 3 years ago. And we met with the mayor and with the then finance director, and we expected that that system would be brought online right away. That system is still not online. Why does it matter? Because when the city comes to you and says, we want to put new windows in City Hall, you have no data to look at to see, does this really make sense? How, maybe it does make sense, maybe it doesn't make sense, but you have no energy tracking data. You have not benchmarked your energy use in municipal buildings, excuse me, and you have not been tracking it. It's a simple thing. You have an energy commission. The energy commission has not met. This is something the energy commission should be working on. These are basic steps that somebody in the administration has to be responsible for keeping track of. The other quick example that I want to give of a technological way of approaching this, rather than getting a Wilma Petro in here to hold your hand and, tell you how to do it, is See-Click Fix. See-Click Fix, I'm sure you're all familiar with it, but it's part of something that is under the umbrella of something called Civic Plus. You can go online. They have examples of municipality after municipality that has used their, whatever you call it, software, I guess you would call it, to track communications, to track public works, to track any of the things that the city has to deliver. We need to have better data in order to make better decisions is my thing. And you need the data to make the decisions, and you need the record of the decisions to improve your performance over time. And that's what's missing. That's what has to be done. And I hope that you really will try to get some money over there for addressing that need. Thank you.
Anyone else like to come up? Galvin?
John Galvin, 40 Crest Street. I'm sorry I was out of state last week, so I missed the public session on ARPA. But for those of you that don't know me, I'm president of the Village Improvement Association, which is tasked through our city charter to maintain, run the library, manage it. The Village Improvement Association has been doing this since 1906. So it's commitment time. The mayor and every other elected official I have spoken with states they are committed to building a new library branch in Allentown. Now is the time to put those words into action. The VIA was notified to vacate our former location at 1 Forest Road by October 2020. This was done without any consultation with the VIA. No provision was made for continuing library service to the residents of Allentown. Since then, the VIA has worked tirelessly to find a new home in Allentown. We have met with city council members, the city attorney, and once on site with the mayor. We investigated sites ranging from the Blake Building, Marginal Drive, Quigley Stadium, and the Preet housing site, to name a few. Whenever we focused our attention on a site, we were informed it was not suitable for one reason or another. Finally, the city attorney, Mr. Tiernan, stated that the city could foreclose on a piece of property located at 688 Orange Avenue. He stated the foreclosure would be doable because the former owner owed taxes that had not been paid in years. Mr. Tiernan further stated brownfield money would be available to clean up the site. These statements were made also made in October 2020. In June of 2021, Colleen Bailey, our library director, and I met with the mayor, Mr. Tiernan, and his summer intern. We were assured foreclosure was proceeding as promised. I followed up with Mr. Tiernan in August. He informed me the attorney in the state's attorney office was on vacation that week, and that then the state would release the lien they had on the property due to environmental cleanup done in the late 1990s. Based on these assurances, the VIA entered into negotiations to purchase the adjoining property at 634 Orange Avenue. With the two properties, we would have nearly 1.4 acres to build on. Since then, the city has not proceeded any further with the foreclosure. With just 634 Orange Avenue, we would still have nearly 1 acre to locate the library. The VIA has done our due diligence to ensure no contaminants remain on this property. At this point, we have preliminary architect site plans for a 2-story, 12,000 square foot building. Our facility at Forest Road was 6,500 square feet, and when we put the bid in for the building, which was rejected, we were planning to renovate the second floor to bring it up to 12,000 square feet. Right now, we are preparing the necessary documents to put our plans and documents before the appropriate city commissions. Our project to serve the residents of Allentown and the entire city is shovel-ready. We can begin construction this year. This is not the Haven. It is real. As part of our preparation, we put out a request for proposal for architectural design in early March. Coincidentally, the next day we were contacted by the city saying there was, quote, free land at the Carrigan school site. Doing our due diligence, we investigated this with an open mind. The parcel is on a hillside. Even though there is a hill there, that particular parcel was reasonably flat. We found this to be totally undeveloped land. Roads, sewers, water, utilities would need to be installed to make this site viable for construction. In addition, hurdles such as public hearings, EPA authorizations, and who knows what other approvals would be needed from the city and the state. These authorizations could take years to obtain. The mayor's ARPA funding proposal, the library is the only one with a contingency. It requires the VIA to collaborate with the fire department on this site. I have investigated with former chief and city council chairman Massaro on this possibility. Chairman Massaro said this site is unacceptable for a fire department. He said the fire department could not respond to an emergency while the school was being dismissed. So where does this leave the residents of Allentown? Once again, Allentown is forgotten. I and the residents of Allentown request you honor your commitment to fund this library. We project this project to be budgeted at approximately at $8.4 million, 12,000 square feet times $700 per square foot. The VIA has secured a $1 million grant from the state library. The VIA has pledged another $1 million from our endowment. We believe this difference can be achieved through allocating the reserved ARPA funds without denying any other entity in the city their funding. Decision time is here and now. No more making us chase our tails, suggesting site after site. I urge you to support our library, vote to fund it. If not, make your opposition known to the residents of Allentown and the entire city so they can cast informed votes. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gallo.
I'll see everybody tomorrow night.
Anyone else like to come up and address the council? Yes, ma'am.
Hi, I'm Kathy Hebert at 166 Bloom Street, West Haven. And I'm here again to talk about Marginal Drive and possibly putting a trail there. And I do have handouts. I don't know if I'm allowed to give them to you. Am I? Okay. So here's one. And then these are some of the surveys. And then these are, instead of doing it, these are the things you do with the QR codes. I'm old, I don't know all this stuff. Oh. But anyway, I'm working with UNH students and the West River Coalition, Watershed Coalition, and the City of New Haven. And there's not enough for all of you, so you're gonna have to share. I'm low on ink. But anyway, we're working on trying to get the trail opened, or Marginal Drive open, putting together a trail, not for cars, but for bikes and hikers, and connecting UNH to Southern. And there's a lot of interest among the student population. Not so much apparently among some of the West Haven residents because of the old history, which is in there, because back in the 90s with the crack epidemic, the homeless population, there was a lot of crime over there, and New Haven closed it. And the property is part of West Haven owned, part New Haven, and right now New Haven is doing a lot of the maintenance and patrolling. And basically, this is just to keep you in the loop where West Haven and myself and New Haven, West River Watershed Coalition, will be having some meetings with the city engineer and planner in New Haven and the police department. And we're going to be doing a survey to find out if there is reasonable interest in this, just not Kathy Hebert's interest. And then I'll be coming back to you. But I just wanted to let you know that we are going forward, and the students at UNH are actually working quite diligently putting together a complete plan. Most of what we need is labor, which the students are going to provide, cleaning up the trail. So it will not be much of a cost to West Haven, but we probably are going to need the city, the police, the firemen, all of those things, I don't even know, but those things to help open it up. And I'll probably be coming back asking for some money from the ARPA funds for signs, because the Audubon has a lot of interest over there. There's a lot of birders. There's a lot of history there, and I never knew this, but someone had mentioned that someone did an Allentown walking trail, audio trail, there's a treasure of information and history there, and we want to incorporate that in some of the signs as information going along the trail. So that's it. I have no complaints. I just wanted to keep you in the loop. Okay?
Thanks. Anybody else would like to come up and address the council? For the second time, would anybody else like to come up and address the council? Yes, Mrs. Krasinski.
Okay. Margaret A. Krasinski, 1 Robarts Street in the Allentown section of West Haven. The library. I don't know why it's such a fuss to build a library in Allentown. It was on Forest Road for a number of years because I do email and I listen to Valerie Ford, her mother was a librarian. I don't know why it's such a problem. We're trying to locate where we should have our library. At Carrigan, I don't know where you're going to put it at Carrigan. In the back of the school? Because when the school starts in the morning, there's a lot of traffic between the teachers and the school buses because the kids come from all over West Haven. Last week, I was trying to come off the post road to go by Carrigan, and I couldn't because of the parents that come and pick up their kids, and then the school bus. It goes all the way down to the post road, the line of cars, and the school buses. So where are you going to put the library? In the backyard? Behind Carrigan? There's a lot of traffic on the road there. It's impossible. It's out of the way, as far as I'm concerned, the library. The library should be a symbol for us, not to be hidden. I thought of a place where Continental Lumber used to be, which is behind CVS. There's still land back there in those old buildings, Continental Lumber. And there's a big driveway. If that's where he's talking about on Orange Avenue, I didn't have a chance to talk to that gentleman. And also, we have to build a firehouse in Allentown. Where's that going to be built? We can't pull it out of the air because the developer, we have some equipment still there on Allen Street, plus up on Fenwick Street also. There's a problem in Allentown. Now, let's get to our public comment procedures. Like Mr. Hickey said, yes, you're only going to give us a one-time speaking rule. There used to be 2 speaking rules, but Mr. Jimmy O'Brien eliminated the second one. I would like to see it put back in the agenda. You should think about that. It is very important that the people have the opportunity to speak. And that second speaking rule could be almost towards the end. We wouldn't hold you up because some of your meetings lately have been almost, to midnight? I would like to see that. Now, one of the places you were going to, besides, I guess, close roads or whatever building, I don't know if one of them is on Front Avenue, where some dumping has been happening, because I know the one, if it's Front Avenue, I saw that one, because I grew up on Front Avenue. And a lot of dumping's been there with the leaves and grass cuttings. I can't remember the name of the place, but I know it's on Front Avenue, because I grew up on Front Avenue. There used to be an incinerator there. But that's long gone because the people never maintained it. But the foundation is there. So, you know, I don't know what else. Good night.
Thank you for your comments. Anyone else like to get up, address the council? For the second time, would anybody else would like to get up and address the council? For the third and final time, anybody else would like to come up and address the council? Public session is closed. Before we start our meeting, Mr. Butler, you want to come up and do your?
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, City Council. I was told, well, I showed up tonight because I figured there was going to be some things on the agenda that I had to speak on. But talked with Lee Tarrant, and Lee Tarrant said it's all resolved. The other thing is back in November of last year, I'm sorry, I didn't put my name, Paul Butler, 8 Alexander Drive. We lost our superintendent at the water treatment plant. A lot of guys there, we didn't know what we were gonna do. I have to say, there's a handful of guys here now, our union president, vice president, lead of collections, and Mark Magri, our, what's your title?
Administrator.
Thank you. All stepped up and took on more responsibilities. With that being said, we knew Tom McCarthy had a lot on his plate with things. So we met with Councilman Robert Bruno, and we told him we needed some help. And with that being said, he said absolutely. The following day he was down there. He's been doing 30 to 40 hours a week helping us. And you guys get bashed all the time up here for negative things, but I wanted to bring some positive to it. So with that being said, just like to present this award. You guys want to come up? Robert?
Robert?
That's for you.
For you. Cherish this time.
Can we take pictures? Yeah, wherever they want to present it. This is their.
Listen, I told you to look sharp tonight, and you did. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Thank you. I appreciate it. I thought you were here to talk on communication. I appreciate it. Thank you. I appreciate it. See Maureen's here tonight, right? Yeah, I should have picked up on that. Appreciate it. Listen.
Excuse me. Can we just get a picture with everybody so that?
What's that?
Read what's on
This
the
is
plaque.
nice news.
Robert Bruno, Councilman Liaison of WPCA. Thank you for Councilman for all your support and leadership 2021-22. Thank you.
We like good news. Thank you.
Ms. Butler.
Can you send it to me or tag me or whatever?
Okay, we get to the regular meeting. Wanna read the,
Hang on.
Clerk will read
Um,
our communications.
no,
No, we wanna do the
we're gonna
approvals?
do the approvals.
Okay.
So the regular meeting is called to order at 7:39.
Okay, we call the order 7:39 for the regular meeting. We're gonna approve the minutes of the redistricting committee special meeting on March 9th, 2022.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion?
I just want to say, I see people with question marks on their face. This is a special meeting for redistricting, so this is mostly for the committee who was there,
Yeah, I
so
was gonna
it's
say,
okay.
you guys have
It's
voted
okay.
in the committee, correct?
Yeah. It could be, because there were other people that were there too. Is this for the redistricting?
Yeah,
Special meeting, yeah.
Right.
but, can I talk?
Mm-hmm.
So, my opinion is that they were given to the whole council, so the whole council probably does need to vote on them, because we're approving the minutes.
But I wasn't.
Yeah, I mean, so you abstain.
I would abstain.
Well, so point of order,
So-
so if everybody, I was gonna abstain because I'm not on the committee. I think the committee needs to approve the committee minutes, because if it comes out to the floor, you'll never pass the minutes, because there's not enough people that were on the committee to
Right.
make a majority, so I think
Okay.
the committee needs to pass their own minutes.
Okay.
Just a committee meeting.
Okay. Did you get a second?
Yeah, Richard.
Great.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? Motion moves. The approval of the minutes of the regular meeting on March 14, 2022. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Bruno? Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I abstain, Chairman, I wasn't here.
All right, you weren't there. Motion carries. One abstention. We do have the approval of the minutes for the redistricting committee and a special meeting on March 16th.
Who's first?
All right, so moved.
Second.
Robert Bruno, second. Any discussion? All in favor for your
Aye.
committee? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Minutes approved. The approval of the minutes of the special meeting of March 17th, 2022. Have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions?
Abstain.
Because you two guys weren't there, okay. 2 abstentions. Motion carries. The approval of the minutes of the special meeting on March 23rd, 2022. Have a second?
Second.
Thank you.
Who made the motion again?
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Now the clerk will read the communications.
So we have before us communication A from Cystic Fibrosis Foundation will be holding their Great Strides Walk at Jimmy's of Savin Rock on Sunday, May 15th, 2022. They have completed the City of West Haven's paperwork to obtain a permit to put up a tent in the parking lot for that day. They respectfully request a waiver of the fees associated with the permit, which is being assigned to the Finance Committee Chairwoman Hosky. We have before us communication B from the tax collector in regards to overpayment refunds for February 2022, which will be filed with tonight's minutes. Communication C from the tax collector in regards to overpayment refunds for the month of March 2022, which will also be filed with tonight's minutes. Communication D from the Office of Corporation Counsel in regards to the City of West Haven may execute the notice of grant award, or is that grant?
Grant.
Grant award with the state of Connecticut for financial assistance for $430,000 to expend solely on playground equipment and related site improvements for installations at 806 Jones Hill Road, 146 South Street, and 23 Glade Street, or neighboring parcels, per the grant contract terms, being assigned to the Finance Committee Chairwoman Hosky. And that concludes our communications for this evening, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. So we'll start with the Finance Committee, Councilwoman Hosky.
Hi, thank you. The time is now 7:44 and your Committee on Finance is in session. Those present are Councilwoman Hamilton, Councilwoman Akbarali, Councilwoman O'Connor, and Councilman Quagliani, and myself acting as chair. We have before us communication A, the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation. I would like to bring this out favorably. Thank you, Councilwoman Hamilton. Can I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilwoman O'Connor and Akbarali. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? Motion carries. We also have before us Communication D from the Office of Corporation Counsel in regards to the City of West Haven receiving the $430,000, the Notice of Grant Award from the State of Connecticut. I would like to bring this out favorably. Have a motion?
Motion.
Thank you, Councilwoman Akbarali. Have a second?
Second.
Oh. Although, yeah, right, I didn't do discussion on the last one. Any discussion? I apologize. I do want to say, I want to thank, before I put up to everybody else, I do want to thank State Rep Dorinda Borer for all her hard work in securing this money for the city of West Haven and the 2 schools in Glade Street. I know a lot of hard work went into that. Would anyone else have any discussion? Councilman?
Thank you. Who could speak on this project? Is there anyone here that could speak on the?
Mr. Carney's here.
Ken, can I ask you a question?
Yes, sir.
So,
Thank you.
you were waiting for me to ask you a question. You have a handout and everything. So I just want to, just for the record, I mean, I've reviewed the scope of work. So this is going to go through your building committee.
That's correct.
As is typical, and then based on that, it will go out to bid and follow all the requirements that are necessary for open bidding. Is that correct?
So in the case of these playgrounds, it's customary to go to the state bid list. There's very few companies that do this. In this case, Burke came out, Playscapes. They designed it. They gave us pricing. We used them for Forest. They proved to be very successful. I'm not aware of a company that could produce the rubber floor, the equipment, all of the conditions that's not on the state bid list for this type of work. It's a very specialty type of work.
No, that requirement's fine as well, according to the bid document. So what's the timeline?
They're waiting for a signed contract from the mayor, at which point they will order equipment. They may come in and do the base in the spring sometime, but the equipment is basically 4 months out. That's where we're at.
And will they do them all at the same time?
They
Put
will.
3 bases down and then they'll.
Yeah, and we went with rubber basing, and we made every playground the exact same design and color, so there'd be, no issues.
Nice. And is there any city match or city?
No, sir.
City involved?
None.
Okay. Great. That's all I have. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone else like to discuss? Councilman Bruno?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Ken, if you don't mind, could I ask you a question?
Absolutely.
So just a quick question, right? All the old playground was all removed from all these sites, correct?
For safety reasons, correct.
But we're 4 months out, so we're going into April now, so when, it'll be the end of the summer before you just set back up?
That is correct.
And there were safety reasons at each and every school that they were taken down?
Yes. Well, we took 2 down, which was McCrill and Haley. Haley, we actually did a project recently. We did some paving, we put a new basketball court in. We painted the pavement for kids' games. That playscape was in very bad condition. McCrill was worse, and the playscape at the Housing Authority does not exist. So this will be new for them.
Yeah, that Haley's is, as you know, is my district, and really nice job on the basketball courts, came out phenomenal. But
Yeah.
I did receive a lot of complaints on why the playscape was, was all removed and nothing has yet to be put up. So we're saying we could be looking at September for this.
The goal would be get it in before September, but that's what we're seeing across the board. Procurement is an issue. One of the things that we were faced with on this project is a 12% increase, and Burke held the price. But as of January 1, there's a 12% increase in this material, but they held the price for us.
Thank you, nothing else, Madam Chair.
Anyone else have any questions? Thank you, Ken. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? Motion carries, and your committee on finance is closed. That's, do I have another? Oh, I do, you're right, I'm sorry. We're still open. Thank you. Should have had it open. So, Mayor Rossi, there's no update regarding the police pension, I just wanna make sure.
No,
Okay.
not yet. We're working on it, though.
Okay, Ken, do you wanna give an update as far as, where you are in regards to the hiring of the A&E, company, the, attorney, and the fund manager?
Yes.
Thank you, we'd love to hear it.
So, our goal is to come before the council once a month and give a written report and be available to answer questions concerning all ARPA funds. This small report would be report number 1. If you open up to page number 1, you will find the attorney that is going to be working with the ARPA committee. He will be attending the meetings. We've been in touch with him, and he seems to have a great understanding of how ARPA funds work. If you go to page 3...
Can I just ask a quick
Yes.
question? Is this the attorney that we're asking for the legal opinion?
For that, we can, yeah.
Well, I'm sorry, Mayor Rossi, I'm
What
asking
legal
Mayor
opinion?
Rossi, is this the legal opinion as far as the pay for the,
PD.
the PD?
I don't remember who we're asking for that. I mean, when you're saying the pay for the PD, to see, you're asking about the
Right,
ARPA.
remember
Yeah, the ARPA pay.
I apologize. Is this the attorney we're using?
Lee, is that who,
Oh, is Lee? I didn't even, Lee, I apologize.
snuck in.
I didn't see
you sneak?
you. You trying to bob and weave, Lee, say that you were in attendance, but,
I mean, you already have a legal opinion saying that the ARPA funds can be used for that purpose. I
we
suppose if
do?
you
Where
wanna
is it?
Oh, it's Hodgkins. That's who has it. Yes, I do
Chris
have that.
Hodgson.
I do.
And,
So, where did so you have the legal opinion?
Yes, he sent it to me. He
Oh,
did
okay,
send
so
it to
when
me.
you said we, you meant you and the mayor?
no, I meant the city vis-à-vis the Corporation Council has received an opinion as a representative of the city. We, meaning universally, the city of West Haven has received. an
Oh, no,
opinion.
okay, I didn't want people to think we as in you were including
The
me,
city
since
ca-
I was
will
the one that
confirm that the
requested
city
it.
council, I haven't distributed it to the.
No, and
I
that's
will-
fine.
I will forward it tomorrow to everyone. And the
Thank you.
last thing is that in there, he does say we can use it, which I was
Right.
pretty sure, but I think it's
Right.
prudent after everything
Yes.
that's happened, when somebody causes a question, let's get the
Exactly,
answer.
yeah. And I just wanted to, and Ken, I'm sorry to cut you off.
Oh, no,
I
fine.
just wanted to be sure that we were very public, cause it's been asked.
Mm-hmm.
And we're gonna be bringing it out to vote, so there's no question. But if you could share that with us, that would be great. Thank you, Lee. Thank you, Mayor Rossi. Ken, please, I'm sorry, thank you.
Oh, quite all right. So page 3 and 4 is the RFQ that is going out for an architect. And the concept is that we will actually secure 3 or 4 architects and be able to utilize their services as needed based on the size of the job.
So this is gonna be in conjunction with West Haven Public Schools.
Well, what we're saying is that
Which
there
is
may
great.
be, yeah, there may be some opportunity. We have a little bit of ARPA money left at West Haven Public Schools, so there'd be an opportunity if we needed an architect to use these guys as well. And it would be a little more appealing to some of the firms if they saw the city and the Board of Ed in there.
Oh, no, absolutely. I thought it was a great idea. I just wanted to make mention of it. Okay.
Now, page 5 is actually a list of engineers and architects that we could use right now because they've been vetted by the state. So all these guys are on call. Now, my personal opinion is that this list is great for the engineers not so great for the architects, because believe it or not, there are architects out there that would work for less. West Haven is a distressed city. Sometimes they donate some of their time, and you will never get to those guys off of this list. So I'm determined to put the RFQ out for the architectural services. The ARPA committee will interview those firms. We will identify 3 to 4 firms and put them on a list to utilize as the projects come up. But as a backup, we already have a list of architects and engineers that we can go to tomorrow if we feel we need them. And that's page 5.
I love everything about page 6
Page 6 took a long
and
time.
having a purchasing agent.
Page 6 through 9, all right. So basically, the concept is that we go out and we secure a licensed accounting firm who will perform all of the reporting, all of the vetting, and work with the ARPA committee, work with the city of West Haven, and help us with all these projects, okay? And specifically, if you go to overview, which is on page 7, the West Haven ARPA Committee is seeking a licensed accounting firm to provide all services in compliance with the legal requirements outlined in the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021, while ensuring that the city maximizes its ARPA funding. Consultants will be required to attend monthly ARPA committee meetings as advisors to the committee members. Specifically, they will provide detailed monthly budget expenditures and reports to the ARPA committee, assist the city grants manager and financial staff with the preparation of any financial reports required by the state or the feds for the grant, prepare comprehensive monthly grant financial statements, activities, and reports to be uploaded onto the city's ARPA website to ensure complete public transparency. This may include expenditure documentation. Streamline the reporting process to ensure compliance and provide ongoing grant management and post-award administration and reporting. Perform the required tasks while keeping the program's strategic goals in mind. Leave the city well-positioned for continued effective and efficient grants administration and compliance. Minimize the risk of clawback by the federal government. Our greatest fear is we don't spend all the money. And we're not going to let that happen. And we need this team to help us spend the money. Provide a team who has current experience with administrating and reporting on ARPA funding. Develop a plan for the city which encompasses 3 main areas: strategy, continuous monitoring, and transparency. So this is going out. The ARPA committee will interview the top 4 firms and then ask those firms for pricing, at which point a selection will be made. Okay? So that is a report on the hiring of the individuals that you asked about. I do want to talk about what's happening out there at procurement. We just opened the bids for the lecture hall at the high school. Now, we had 17 categories, and we had between 3 and 6 bidders in every single category. It was very, very competitive, okay? Well over 100 bids. We came in at $1,000 a square foot, $1.6 million over budget. We built the high school for less than $500 a square foot. Our lowest roofing bid was $45 a square foot. We expected $25 a square foot, okay? So that's what's happening out there, and it's gonna continue to happen because of materials, because of inflation, because of procurement issues, and that $29 million is not gonna go as far as you think it is. And that lecture hall is proof of that.
So what are you guys gonna do?
We have some options. There's other projects we may have to pull from. I have to talk to the Board of Ed, see what they wanna do, but it's definitely a problem.
Wow. Are there any questions for, Ken? I can open it up to the entire council. Councilwoman Tucker? Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation. I guess the question that I have is about the list of engineers and architects that you have. Is any, and this you said came from the state, the list of?
Correct.
So I'm assuming that there was consideration given to supplier diversity, including women-owned businesses and.
I'm sure there was, yes.
Okay, is that like, we're sure?
I didn't read all the names, but that's typically how they deliver projects to us, the information. I would say yes. So I just handed out a card that has all of our regular meeting dates, as well as the names, all the members and their phone numbers. We will be having special meetings in between those regular meetings, but those are all the dates that we have on the calendar right now.
Councilwoman Tucker, did you all set?
Well, I guess there was, he answered, he said.
Oh, no, I didn't know if you had any additional questions.
No,
I don't
all
want to
set.
move on. And does
Thank you.
anyone else have any other questions for Ken? Councilman?
Hey, Ken, I'd really like to see if, as we move along, that, I know the ARPA plan is on the website, but I'd really like to see each project, once they're approved by the council, in their own section, and then any expenditures drawn on that particular project visible to the public. Very transparent process. I encourage your committee to see if we could get that accomplished.
If you look at the RFQ for the accounting firm, that exact language is in there. They're responsible for an electronic workbook of every single project and to update it on a regular basis.
Great. Thank you.
Anyone else? Thank you so much,
Thank
Ken.
you. Have a good night, everybody.
You too. I don't see, the mayor's not here for the MARB meeting update.
Mr. Jackson's here.
Oh, Mr. Jackson, thank you. I did not see him either.
I'm here for you.
You are here for me. You're very giving.
Thank you for recognizing me. We did have a MARB meeting last Tuesday. We spent about 2 hours with MARB. It was cordial
Exhilarating?
and useful. The Board of Ed took about half the time, but we had staff from both the Board of Ed side and the city side, just providing some updates. They were very happy, as I think just about everyone in this room is, to hear that we've made progress on hiring a purchasing manager who in 5 days has done such great work. I'm sure that we're going to reap a lot of rewards from having him on board. We have posted a position for a purchasing specialist, sometimes called a buyer. So far, we've gotten at least 15 applicants for that position. It's a robust competition. So we are going to have a highly functioning purchasing department in short order.
Can I ask a question about that? So when you say 15 applicants, external or is anybody internal?
There was at
eligible?
least one internal applicant, but a lot of external folks as well. And we actually got a whole lot more than that, but our personnel office sort of has a series of knockout questions, so it only progresses if folks have the qualifications.
No, perfect, thank you.
There were also brief presentations by the IT department and the personnel department about their progress, which were well received as well. The mayor walked through the ARPA plan that was delivered to the council and went through the programs, and there weren't really any questions of significance about that. There is a meeting tomorrow. It's a one-item meeting, executive session regarding the OPM audit. We got information at the meeting that the contract expires on March 31st, and there is not an anticipation by OPM of extending that contract. So it's hard to determine what that executive session item will be. Is it to get a preview of the report, or is it to talk about whether or not they have enough information and make that determination as to whether or not they should extend the contract? But we will find that out. That is at tomorrow at 1 o'clock.
Okay. Anyone have questions for Mr. Jackson? Or open up to the whole council? Councilman Bruno?
Mr. Jackson, what do you mean when you state that they may not want to renew? What are you referring to on OPM?
When OPM hired Cone Resnick, there was an end date to the contract. And so at the last meeting, they indicated that they did not intend to and that end date was March 31st, that they did not intend to extend the contract beyond that date. So if they are holding fast to that, tomorrow may be an opportunity for the members of the subcommittee to get a preview of what findings may be in that audit.
What finding would be in the audit, correct? Okay. Thank you. Nothing else, Mom.
It is a draft. Yeah, so it's a draft report, and this is one of the reasons why it is allowable under Rep. Hawaii to be discussed in executive session.
Thank you.
I have a question. So at 1 o'clock, we're gonna get a copy of that report, or are they gonna keep it and they'll discuss it at a later date with us?
That is correct. It is posted as a special meeting, so nothing else can be added to the agenda. There is no action item on the agenda to accept it. So that will happen at a later date.
Thank you.
Chairman?
Mr. Jackson, I got a question. My question is kind of confusing to me. We had 3 balanced budgets. We did an excellent job of getting us almost totally out of a deficit. City employees took a big chunk out of their pay. Taxpayers paid more money. 3 years we've been good. Why is the MARB still hanging us? Why is the MARB, I thought after 3 years, if we had 3 balanced budgets and seeing the city's going the right way, why are they still playing with us? When Hartford didn't take 3 years to get out of their hole. I just don't understand what they're doing to us.
Well, it's a complicated question, and I as a former member of MARB, I can probably give some indication, but the question is really on their side of the table now. I like being on the other side better than being on this side, I'll tell you that. There are a series of systemic control deficiencies that exist that we are working on, and we've gotten a lot of it done. So it's not just the end of year operations, it's how we operate on a day-to-day basis, what financial controls are in place, what personnel controls are in place to ensure that we get the highest quality candidates, what is our IT infrastructure to ensure that we are not at risk to things like ransomware. So their scope is a lot broader than just taking a look at the audit at the end of the year. And those are the types of things where they're very happy with the financial progress. I think I can say that. But they're trying to live up to what they were intended to do, which is not be a hammer, but provide assistance and guidance and other thoughts about how we can engage in higher quality business practices. So I think that's where they are right now. And there is I haven't read the statute in a little bit, but there isn't really there's no hard line that says if you do A, B, and C, then you get out from underneath MARB. It's more of a kind of a shared decision between the city and the Secretary of OPM.
Thank you. Thank you.
Anyone else? Councilman?
So, Mr. Jackson, I think, and I'm just saying it now because we're talking about MAR, but I think under new business, I'd really like to get back to a point where the subcommittee of MARB is in the community and hosts the meeting in the community, because there's a lot of business that's being conducted at the MARB that the community really can't participate in, right? You could listen to it, but it's different when it's here and the committee members come here to the community and you have that exchange with city officials or residents. So I'm hoping, that we're at a point in the pandemic that, at least I believe it was a subcommittee that met here in town, and I'd really like to see the subcommittee get back to that. So just, I'm just putting it out there now, but I think we're missing something when all the business happens in Hartford. It's difficult for the community to participate.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, sorry, I didn't, I left for a minute.
Mayor
Well,
Rossi?
first thing I'm gonna stick in there is I just sent everybody the opinion.
Thank you.
And I did it right now so that I wouldn't forget to do it again. I had it for like a few days, and just so that everyone knows, the reason I did the opinion is because it came to my attention through council people. So thank you for letting me know that there were bad rumors out there that we were gonna get in trouble, we couldn't use ARPA money for police retention, which I knew we could. So I tasked Chris Hodgkins, who agrees, yes, we can, he put it in an opinion, so they can put these rumors to bed. As far as now with the MARB, the reason they left or stopped coming here had nothing to do with the pandemic or anything like that. They continue now on with that. I don't know if we'll ever get them back there because part of it was one of the last meetings that they had here. There was a whole ruckus and name calling and videotaping and everything else. And after that, we never ever had a subcommittee meeting here again. We had it in Harriet North, and it was not a nice meeting. And it was some of the MARB members, one in particular, that engaged the whole ruckus. But that being said, we never met here again. I agree, though, with Councilman Quagliani. I really think it should be here, especially the subcommittee meetings, so the people that live here, they won't be able to ask questions, but you could understand what's going on, and then you could give me the questions, or and I'd be happy to facilitate, or Scott Jackson the questions, because I do agree. We spend more time with the subcommittee than any other committee, and I think it really is unfair. I don't know how far we can push it and get it, because there's a new secretary now, and I don't know if he's gonna be the permanent secretary. And in fact, they have a meeting tomorrow, that they're going to be going over the forensic audit in executive session. And we are not involved, and what I mean by that is because they engage those auditors, so they're not like it's our auditor. So I didn't sign the engagement letter, the secretary signed the engagement letter, so they are the client for the auditor. So hopefully, we're gonna find out very soon what was said. I'm sure there's gonna be a huge corrective action plan, and we're gonna move forward from this as we've been continuing to move forward. But they never gave us a reason, but after that meeting, they never came back here again. We were summoned to Hartford. And then when pandemic hit, it went virtual.
No, thank you so much for that, and I appreciate you getting that opinion for us as well, just so that we don't hear that, we don't know something. Thank you, Mr. Jackson. I appreciate you being here to answer questions. Lee, number 4, I'm hoping to get it off the agenda. I know I got your email. It was very well written. So, regarding the compensatory time that elected officials do not get, only appointed.
Yeah, I can't.
Did you?
For elected officials, I can't find there'd be any legal argument that they would get compensatory time. Elected officials are sort of a different breed of employee. So there's things you can't do to them because they are elected, but on the flip side, they don't have the same entitlement to the benefits that union or even appointed officials would get. You have not specified that they get those in your resolution. You have not, the state of Connecticut has not specified that comp time is a part of elected official benefit in the state constitution or in regulation. There's no legal case that says elected officials get comp time.
Right.
So when you set the salary, you kind of walk away.
Okay, so are we going to update that on the document? Do we have that document
That they're
updated?
not in, there's
So
things that people are entitled to are on the document. I don't think things that people aren't entitled. You don't have negative inferences in the document.
we don't have negative inferences on the document. Okay.
But if you wanted to clarify it and say,
Well, I thought that's what we were always, this was just a huge thing, and I know it was a year ago, or it was 8 months ago, 9 months ago, when everyone was, this whole big thing about, whether or not they get it and what they're entitled to. And I know that it doesn't say it, but when I was saying it didn't happen, I had no proof to say it doesn't happen. So the proof is that it's not listed as a benefit on their.
yeah, and I have no evidence that any elected officials ever received anything described as comp time.
Right, no, and I know there wasn't. So, okay, so
No,
we're
but
not gonna.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
So we're not gonna update the document because the document only says what they're entitled to, but I
No,
thought.
hold on. If you wanna task me, if it is the council's view that you want that resolution updated, you want a new resolution maybe to look at and pass, I'm tasked with that. Now, I don't wanna, I try not to wade into your stream, as it were. I try not to get in your lane.
I honestly, respectfully say that I thought that is what I had been waiting for this whole time.
A new resolution?
Not a new resolution, for that other one to be the form, what is it called? The form where it states the benefits, where it says that you can't buy back vacation time and all of that. I thought that was what I've been waiting for this time.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand that. So you,
But if you're, I really just wanna put this to bed really nice on a pillow, wrap it up tight. So if you're saying that it doesn't need to be on the document, and for the life of me, I can't recall what the document is called, but the one that says, benefits, what is it called?
it's called the resolution defining fringe benefits for non-union employees.
Right, so I thought we were waiting, is it in here? What page? I don't know. Oh, this is your own. Yeah, so if it's on there, does it say that they can't buy back vacation time? Where's the one that says?
All right, why don't I volunteer to do this if you want me to? There are things in this, there are things in this that probably aren't in it that maybe should be. And I'll give you an example. Holidays. So if you didn't pay people for holidays, you'd have to have City Hall open so it's kind of obvious that holidays are there. So I can correct it for those kind of things, bring it back to the council. You could still recommend adding things to it, but if you want to have a working document to work from with corrections that have come up over the last 15 years, which this now is 15 years old, including the other, I will include the other amendments that have been already adhered to. We can do that, because there are some things that are outdated here, there are some things that don't apply, so I can clean it up and present it back to you. But I don't want you to think it's your resolution, so you can, whatever I bring back, you're gonna be able to add to it. I mean, as long as it's legal.
Absolutely. I feel like I can, but that's,
All right,
I don't want this to just be about me, but it was under Councilman Bruno.
I would say that's what we should do.
okay. So I will have.
Because I just literally, the ask is that I am, it might be small rumblings in the community, or it might, it died down after 6 months, but I don't want it to come up in 4 more months and say, oh, they never resolved it. And it is resolved. We know that the elected officials do not get this benefit, but it's just, where is it written so it could be just done with it? And that's really all I want. And the holidays, like you said, it's in there, which is ridiculous.
It isn't,
because
but it should be, yes.
Right, because they're not, the doors aren't open.
Right. So I will commit to getting you what I've described back within 30 days. Okay?
You sure can, Councilman.
So Lee, I think, listen, we've had some hearty discussions on this resolution over the years, so it'd be helpful if what they get is in here and what they don't get is not in here, right? So, appointed officials get compensatory time, right? But it's not in here. We know they do. So instead of, I'd like to say an inclusive list, here's what elected officials, the benefits that they get, and here's what the appointed officials get. And then based on that, whatever's not in this document, they don't get, right? Instead of trying to say, well, they follow this contract or they follow that contract. So, it would be helpful because again, I know the discussions we've had and we've made some amendments over the years. But I think you're right. I think there's some things that we realize that they do get that aren't encompassed in this document.
So here's what you will get from me. So take, for example, I'll take an easy one, workers' compensation. So I'm 99% confident that you have to give workers' compensation. Like, I don't think you you wrote it in here, but I don't think you can opt out of workers' compensation based on the makeup of the city. So what you're gonna get is a series of employee benefits that you're mandated to provide anyway, just because you're a city with so many employees and yada, yada, yada. So you'll get that first. Then I will list the benefits that presume you want to give. And then we'll deal with, I mean, if we think we need to highlight, just so it's clear, this is what you don't, if you can do that. I mean, if you think you need to highlight it. But what I don't want to do is, this is a resolution by the council. I don't want to suggest, again, I'll be what the law says, what you're required to do, so on and so forth. You guys still get to decide, so I don't want to take that province away from
Well,
you.
we get to decide within the law.
Yes.
Right, so I think that's it. We can't take that away, yeah.
No, so if you give me 30 days, I will have that back to you in 30 days.
So can we just edit this, Chairman, so that 4 is more about the resolution that governs elected and appointed officials, and it not just be, regarding, compensatory time? Is that? Does anyone else have any questions for Lee? Are we all set where we?
Yeah, we'll change it.
Okay, I just wanted to be sure. Any other, Lee, thank you so much, I appreciate you. And your finance committee is now closed at 8:22.
Thank you, Councilwoman Husky. Next up is Councilman Robert Bruno, legislative matters.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Time is now 8:21. The Committee on Legislative Matters is in session. Members present: Councilwoman O'Connor, Councilman Galligano, Councilman Boras, Councilwoman Accabarelli, me as acting as chair. We have before us tonight Communication F. Public hearing was in the ordinance section 224-4A to add words class 3. I'd like to bring this out favorably. Thank you, Mitch. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Colleen, thank you. As far as the discussion goes, is Mr. Mark Magri still here, or all them guys left? Okay. That's not what they're supposed to do.
Corp counsel's here.
Corp counsel's here.
This isn't what you think.
Okay.
This,
Well, thank you, Lee.
This is, I can get you my book. We don't know why, but the phrase class 3 fell out of the recent book, and it's been in past books. So this is a housekeeping matter. It's nothing more. It was already there, should have been there, but I can't open a printed book and have it not there, because when you guys approve something or when I go to enforce it, I have to be able to point to the reg. So this is more of a housekeeping matter than anything else, and I appreciate the good folks at Water and Sewer and the city engineer for drawing it to my attention.
All in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? The Committee on Legislative Matters is now closed, 8:23.
Thank you, Councilman Bruno. This time the clerk, you want to read
Yes.
the overpayment taxes?
Sure. We have communication B from the tax collector in regards to overpayment refunds for the month of February 2022, which will be filed with tonight's minutes. And communication C, also from the tax collector in regards to overpayment refunds for the month of March 2022, also being filed with tonight's minutes. And that's it.
Yeah. Okay, adoptions of ordinance or previous presentation.
We gotta go to our committee report.
I thought they would do the first one.
Nope.
No, I'm sorry. We'll go into committees with the Finance Committee. Councilwoman Hosky.
Thank you, Chairman. To the Honorable City Council of the City of West Haven, your Committee on Finance, to whom is referred the matter of the request of waiver for any fees, reports that the committee met on the 28th day of March 2022 to consider said matter. It is unanimous opinion of the committee that the following motion be presented. Resolved. The City Council of the City of West Haven hereby approves the request waiver from any fees associated with the permit for the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation Great Strides Walk at Jimmy's of the Savin Rock on Sunday, May 15th, 2022.
Thank you, Councilwoman Hosky. Communication A, Cystic Fibrosis Foundation, with holding up their great strides at the Jimmy Savin Rock on Sunday, May 15, 2022. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes.
This reads different. Certification, I, Stacy Riccio.
It's supposed to have a condensed version. It doesn't.
No,
No condensed version?
not on either one of them, no. The clerk of the city council, I guess, to the honorable city.
Madam Chair, if you just start with the word resolved, you're probably okay.
Okay, resolved that the city of West Haven may execute the notice of grant award with the state of Connecticut for financial assistance for $430,000 to be expended solely on the playground equipment and related site improvements for installations at 806 Jones Hill Road, 146 South Street, and 23 Glade Street, or neighboring parcels per the grant contract terms. Further resolved that Nancy Rossi, as mayor of the city of West Haven, is authorized and directed to execute and deliver any and all documents related to this resolution on behalf of the city of West Haven, and do so and perform all acts and things which she deems to be necessary or appropriate to carry out the terms of such documents, including but not limited to executing and delivering all agreements and documents contemplated by such documents. The undersigned further certifies that Nancy Rossi now holds the office of mayor and that she has held that office since December 3rd of 2017, and that said term will continue until December 2nd of 2023. That is it.
Councilwoman Hosky, Communication D, the notice of a grant awarded from the state of Connecticut to financial assistance of $430,000 to expand the solely on playground equipment and related site improvements, installation of 806 Jones Hill Road and 146 South Street and 23 Glade Street, or neighboring parcels, per the grant of the contract terms. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes.
Chairman, and that is all your finance committee has
Thank
this
you,
evening.
Now we'll go to legislative matters, to Councilman Bruno.
The Honorable City Council of the City of West Haven, your Committee on Legislative Matters, to whom it will refer the matter of amendment of ordinance section 224A to add word class 3. Reports that the committee met on the 28th day of March 2022 to consider said matter. It is the unanimous opinion of the committee that the following motion be presented. Resolved, the City Council of the City of West Haven hereby approves the amendment of ordinance section 2244A to add word class 3.
Councilman Bruno read Communication F, from the March 4th, 2022, the agenda, that the new ordinance will include 2244-4A-1 to add the word Class 3 in it. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
I'm a good seconder.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes. Thank you, Councilman Blume.
Right.
Set? Okay, any council liaison reports? Yeah, no adoption. Under new business, I would like to bring up 3 items. Got a letter from Corporation Counsel to remove 20 Helm Street from the agenda, to rescind this. I'm looking for a motion to approve this from the agenda.
Motion.
Any discussion?
Second.
All in favor?
Second.
She's second. Read it. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes. We also have from the mayor's office to rescind, to remove from the city council agenda, Communication C from December 13, 2021 agenda, and Communication J from the January 10th, 2022 agenda. This has to do with the air condition at the PD and the electric cars. Do I have a second? Any discussion?
Mr. Chairman, we'll see revised communications in the future regarding these 2 topics.
They're gonna come back to us with something new that supposedly has to be revised.
Very good.
The whole thing has to be revised.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes. And the final, a motion to adjourn.
New business?
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Can I have some new business still?
Yeah,
Mr. Chairman?
sure.
Thanks. I just, if the council agrees, I'd like to have a letter sent to the OPM secretary to request that the MARB subcommittee meetings be located back to West Haven so the community members could participate.
Yeah, I second that.
Yeah, I second that also.
Okay. Anybody else on no new business? All set. Motion to adjourn? Thank you. Good night, everybody. Good night, everybody. Thank you very much.